Hi there, everybody. How are you doing? I hope everyone's fine, especially my friends with us in the UK. For those of you that don't know, we've had some pretty unseasonal, because it is spring, some pretty bad snow kicking about, which has made it a bit of a nightmare here. I know, especially down in Cornwall and Wales, they're getting it hit hard now, and we've had it pretty spectacular for the past week near enough now. So thankfully everybody's fine here, but it's been a bit of a nightmare so far. And I've just had to cancel my dog training work for Monday as well, which makes it an entire week I haven't been able to work. So but me and the dogs have had so much fun. So I hope everyone else is okay. And oh yeah, do the intro. Hi, I'm Pam Duthie, and I'm here to help you craft your career. And in today's live stream, we want to talk about, as it's the beginning of the next month, I want to talk to you about my stats and figures from Etsy for the month of February and how that's compared to other years. And also I've got a couple of really exciting stats and numbers from a few websites to let you all know about. So I see we've got Sharon here already. Hi there, Sharon. How have you been this week? Yes, and we have Mia with us again because I've got a little electric fire down by my feet and she really loves the warmth, but I've had to put it off while I'm streaming because the light's terrible on my face. So the dog's using me for warmth. It's nothing to do with affection, she just wants a cuddle. So if you guys let me know if the stream's looking okay, if the sound and everything's fine, and we will get started. Sharon's had major snow, freezing rain and high winds. We're lucky you only lost power for 3 hours, but a friend's borrowing a generator since he's been out since yesterday. Oh, Sharon, that's a nightmare. The worst thing, when I lived down in England, strangely enough, we used to get power outages because of the snow a lot more commonly. Touch wood, touch wood. I haven't had that since I moved back to Scotland, and I was kind of fearing it with this snowstorm that we had, but thankfully it's not been the right kind of snow to bring down power lines and stuff for us. And I'm glad yours was only out for a wee bit, because it really is the worst thing. Like, you can go out and kind of have a bit of fun in the snow or do the grown-up things and shovel your drive and stuff if you can come into a warm house, but if you don't have power, then it's just shut yourself in one room and try and keep as warm as possible. And hi, Karen. Carol. Hi, Carol. How are you? Okay, so quick wee look at my Etsy stats for the month. Oh, we've got Samantha in as well. Hi, Samantha. Good morning to you. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, but good morning to you too. Right, so onto my Etsy stats. So again, another confession to make. I really want to be doing these stats to tell you what I've been doing through the month to try and grow my shop, but I still haven't caught up. I'm not complaining at all, but I'm still getting a good supply of orders coming in, which has kept me too busy to be trying to promote myself too much. And this is the fantastic thing that I've got that I want to explain to you all is all that work you put in at the beginning, it can really build up. It's like building up a snowball, and when you finally get up to the top of the hill, it can start to pay off by itself, so you don't have to work so hard. Now that doesn't happen all the time, and you do need to give it a bit of a shove every now and again, and you can't rest on your laurels, but it does get a bit easier. And as I've mentioned in other videos in the past, that basically Etsy favors newness and sales. So if you're having a few sales, then what's going to happen is that item's going to get to page 1, and you might get a few sales in a row before you finally drop out of page one again. So that's, I believe, what's happening to me just now. I'm just, because I've had a few sales, that's driving some more sales. So I'm in a lucky place, and yeah, confession, I've not done that much this month. And we have someone else in. Right, how do I say your name? Is it Neve? Nima? Ah, sorry about that. But hi there. And yeah, Sharon, it is scary when your power's out for days, because really, like I said, there's nothing you can do, and nobody has that kind of supply of candles anymore. The heating doesn't work, which is the worst. You start to, like, phone batteries don't last. I don't have batteries for like my radio anymore. Samantha, Neve, right? Thank you, Neve. Yes, I'm never sure. I should know these things. Neve, cool. Glad I got that kind of right. Samantha, how do I know what to charge? That is such a big question. I will totally make some videos on this. I have, they're in my planning. I have an Excel spreadsheet again of all my plans for what videos I'm going to make, and one of them is on pricing. There's a couple of really important points you have to think of before you even think of your prices, and that is your why. Why are you making and selling what you're making and selling? If this is a hobby that basically you just enjoy, you know, you like to sit in front of the telly and knit, and you just want to basically get rid of what you've created, you want to pass it on to people, it's not a living you want to make, it's a hobby, then your prices will be different from someone. If your plan is for this to become your full-time career, then your prices again will be totally different. And again, different if you're wanting to go on into retail, if you're wanting to sell in shops and things, again, that's something completely different to think of. But we'll think of it as I'm trying to craft your career, craft all our careers, we'll think of it as you want to at least have this as some level of an income. So obviously the first thing you have to do is look at your raw materials. What are the cost of your raw materials? So immediately figure out how much that is, and that goes into the first space. And then we're going to think about how long it takes you to make. Now, you've, depending on what you make, but when you start out, we're not going to be able to charge a premium. People don't know you. You know, it's like if you're buying works of art, there's the artists that are way up here, you know, the fantastic Turners or Constables or whatever, and there's a premium on their name, but we're not known, so you have to start kind of lower, but without undervaluing yourself. So look at the time it takes to make what you're making, and at the very least think of giving yourself minimum wage for those times. It's not always going to work. I won't say that I always get minimum wage, but we'll figure this out for just now. So think of what your minimum wage is for the time it takes to make your items. And you also want to add in a bit of time for how much it takes to market them, and even packaging. I always underestimate this, but at Christmas, when I've got to send off 20 boxes all in one day, that's a good chunk of your morning just boxing up things. So add a little bit of time for this. And then you really, if you were looking to sell retail at a later date, then you do have to add a bit again, because when people want to buy retail, then they're expecting a 40 to 50% discount. So that means you have to have a 40 to 50% on top of what you're already charging, if you know what I mean there. But then, most importantly, you have to have a look at your competition and see how this compares. So if you look, there's certain things that straight out the box it's pretty difficult to make the hourly wage for. I look at things like, see, cross stitch or tapestries, unless you're doing some really original, one of a kind, stunning artwork and you can pass yourself off in that way, excuse me. But just creating regular cross stitches or tapestries, people are not going to pay for the time that you put in. So this is perhaps something that wouldn't be so easy to make a career out of. There would have to be other ways to do it. But if you look and see what the competition's charging, and in some niches, now I've kind of found in the needle felting, there are people who charge next to nothing, and then there are people who charge way more than, I'm going to say, than I want. I'm trying not to be greedy, so I fit somewhere into the middle, if that makes sense. So I look and I make sure that I'm not being greedy and I'm not overcharging, but at the same time, I don't want to be swayed to say, oh, these people will get mad at me if I kind of undercut them. We're all doing something differently. So I set my price at a level and then seen if it worked for me. And the way that I found that it actually was working for me, that the best way was, a few years ago, a gallery asked for 35 of my wee dogs and they wanted them in 2 weeks. Thankfully, I had some already sitting around, but I had to create about 20 to 30 wee dogs in a couple of weeks. So I was flat out, I was barely sleeping. And this was retail, so they were wanting the 40% off. And I figured out in those 2 weeks, I was making just about enough to make me feel like I wasn't in slave labour, if you know what I mean there. So I realised my prices were kind of okay. And then what I did when, a couple of years ago, when at Christmas time came and I had to shut down my shop because I just had far too many orders, I figured out this is a time to put my prices up slightly. And I only did it by a few pounds. I didn't go greedy, but I put my prices up slightly to try and reduce the amount of orders I had. So give yourself a fair amount of money. Don't look so cheap that people just think you're cheap rubbish. Give yourself a fair wage. And if you're finding that you're selling way too much at that, then put your prices up a bit. We've got Stewie Griffin here. Good evening, Stewie. And Sharon says it's not fair to everyone else if you undercharge because it makes the rest of us look greedy. It's true. It is a balance. There's always going to be people that are unhappy. I mean, I still sometimes get some grief from some needle felters saying that I undercharge. But the thing is, they're not comparing sort of apples with apples, because I've always got my work in progress here. But there's people who are saying they charge like £200 for a sculpture. But what they've not realised is my little dogs, I think they're £30 to £35 just now for the littlest ones. And people aren't realising they're comparing a sculpture that's like about 2 foot in size to something that's this size. So my charging is fair for the size of what I make. So, but yes, you don't want to totally undercut people. But at the same time, if it's truly art, if you charge what you need to charge, it doesn't matter if somebody's need is less. If they're, if their reason for selling is different from you and they don't want to make a living, they just don't want to be overrun by tiny dogs, then they can charge less, but their work's different from you, so they'll have a different audience. So I tend not to get mad at other people if they charge significantly less. That's their what. And also, yes, as Samantha's just coming in, there's the quality of your raw materials. Not everyone's needle felters here. The quality of your raw materials. This is something we've been, myself and my mum have been talking about with her knitwear. She can't really, generally, if you just have cheap like acrylic blend wool and you make some gloves with them, the price you can charge for those gloves is not really enough to cover your time. But if you buy luxury wool, there's the alpacas, the cashmeres, and all these. I think there was a possum blend, and these luxury wools. Then people will pay a premium for them, and you can actually charge for your time. So there's a different thing as well. The markup can be different depending on the quality of your wool. Also, it depends where you live. Some countries can buy in their raw materials cheaper, so that might affect your pricing. And the experience of the artist is also so much of a different thing. I would like to think after, it's going to be 10 years, 10 years of learning a craft, you can make a little more money than when you just start. It is, but it is tough to come up with prices, and yeah, I think we all start off undercharging for our artwork. We really want people to like us, and I did that. And then I remember, I think I said last week, I'd made this horse that took ages, and I was so proud of it because I'd done all the horse's legs are a nightmare, but I'd got all these knobbly knees and these little bits of his hocks and everything, and it was looking so good, and I really wanted him to hang around for a bit. So I put him up for £100. I thought, no one's going to want that. And he sold that very day. Because if I'd have put him up for £20, people would have thought, that's a bit rubbishy. But because I put a bit more of a premium on him, then they thought it was a real genuine work of art, if that makes sense. And yeah, Sharon, there's always going to be people who are racing to the bottom and trying to undercut you. But what you have to do is stand alone as an artist by yourself. It's different. You know, without being rude, there's some people you see on Etsy that are complaining about people undercharging them, but they're not really creating something unique. They might be, basically, there's jewelry makers and there's people who buy beads and string them together in a design that they saw someone else make. So if you're, which is crafting, and I'm not dismissing it, but if someone else can do that for cheaper than you can do it, then it's kind of tough. No one can make what I make for cheaper than I do it, because it won't be the same as what I make. So we can ask for different prices because we're truly making one of a kind things. So, you know, if someone likes what I make, then they've got to pay what I charge, which I don't think is an unreasonable price anyway. But you know, if they want work from me, if they want my work, they have to pay my prices, which is different. I suppose it's the difference between art and manufacture. If you're manufacturing, then people can undercut you. If you're an artist, people can't undercut you because you're the only you. Right, anyway, thank you so much for the questions. Anyway, that is totally awesome. And as always, I get off track. Right, so looking at my stats for February, which again have been actually really awesome. I'm sharing my screen here. So for the month of February, I have had nearly 5,400 views, which is awesome, and 60% up on last year. And as I say, I've done nothing, so awesome. My visits are 2,600, which is nearly 50% up on last year. If you didn't catch me last month, I explained your visits are an individual person when they click onto your shop. Views are if they click onto your shop, that's one visit, but if they click onto your shop and look at 3 different pages, that could be 3 views. So that's the difference. So both numbers are important, and it's good that both numbers are going up. And then for the month, my orders have been 15, and my revenue has been 520 quid, which is pretty awesome. I mean, February is usually a quieter time of the month. Everyone's run out of their Christmas money, and obviously no one's really buying for much, and it's a shorter month. So comparing it to last year, that's 88% up in orders and 169% increase in revenue, which I am super happy with. I actually pulled up some other stats from the years. I could only find the stats up to 2014, but it's quite interesting to see how they fluctuate. If you've been on the forums, I don't know why it's going even madder than usual with people saying that Etsy's dying and sales are down and everything. So there must be an algorithm change, and some people have got left behind. Or also what happens, unfortunately, is people that maybe opened their shop in November are now panicking because they're not getting the same sales, and it's February, so obviously they're not getting the same sales. But from 2014 to now in 2018, my views were 2,800, 4,600, 2,400, 3,300, and now 5,400. So basically, there was a wee peak in 2015, and now 2018's been the best ever. We'll nip over to orders. Orders were 6, 12, 3, 8, and 15. So 2015, again, that was a huge spike in orders, but I'm ahead in 2018. I'm 3 ahead of my best year to date that way. And the money, 190 quid, 400 quid, 112, 192, and 519. So 2018 is £120 better than my best ever month, and that was more than double the best month before that. So that is actually, February has been pretty fantastic for me, and I can't say it's down to my hard work. This has been a whole load of luck. And my traffic sources, which are always important to look at. Surprisingly, Etsy is usually the highest traffic source, and that is because it is such a fantastic place for buyers. But people coming direct to me now is up at 21.5%. Social media is 16.2%. And oddly enough, my top search term is just personalised, which is quite a random one because it's not very specific, but I'll bear that in mind, and I'm going to add that into some more of my listings. I do like personalised dog sculpture, or into all these words, but just having the single term, that's quite a lot of visits for that. And where everybody's coming from. So my top social media has always been Pinterest. Pinterest is, I find, really fantastic. But it's not me doing the work on Pinterest. This is not people coming from my page. This is people coming from other people's pins. And this is why I always say photographs are so important. If you get a photograph that people like, other people will pin it. That's what Pinterest is. So totally so important there. And let's just have a wee look at my promoted listings. I've not looked at this yet, so this should be cool. Yes, it's up at last month. And again, looking pretty cool. Now, this is really something I should be looking into more. I'll pull out the stats for this some more. But the number of clicks per impression you're getting. Impressions is how many times your advert shows on the page. So the ratio of clicks to impressions is so important because it's telling you how much your listing is catching people's eye. But on the month with my promoted listings, I've had 4 orders, but the cost for the month has only been $33, and I've made $173. So again, pretty cool, but I've got all the stats I can dig into from the promoted listings as well. So it's not costing me too much, and it's actually still doing pretty cool for me. So I'm totally happy with that. Let's get back to the chat again. Oh, Samantha, so that made me laugh, but every felting piece is different, even if it is the same, and that is so true. It is absolutely impossible to make needle felting, to make 2 that are exactly the same. I've had that a couple of times. It's always been when I've been shipping to Canada for some reason, but a couple of times pieces have gone missing, and I've recreated them, but they're never identical. I always have to check with the customer if they're happy with the recreation. But yes, everyone's individual, even if we try and copy them. Sharon doesn't seem to understand Pinterest. I totally get you. I'm not the biggest fan of Pinterest myself, to be honest. I play around with it. I did last year about this time. I did a wee challenge where we did some work on Pinterest. I'll try and find that and tag that out again as well. But the biggest thing with Pinterest, like I say, that I've found is other people pinning it. It it it's a very visual place. It's beautiful. What I use it for, I've never pulled up my Pinterest on here before. Let's see if I can get it. Pinterest. Hopefully it'll log me in because I don't remember my passwords for this. Yes, here it is. So quite a lot of what I use my Pinterest for, I've got boards, groups of all things that you create a board of lots of different things, or you're invited to join boards. We should make a board for us. I'll remember and do that. But if I can actually find the one, ideas, here it is. So what I do here, is it going to open it? This is where if I come across pictures that I totally love, and these were when I was looking for things for the 2D felting, you might recognise this is the tiger that I needle felted, but looking for images for things, and I also needle felted this guy. So when I'm searching the internet, I just pin things here for me to remember at a future date. So animals I really love the look of, or things I'm thinking of making, then I'll just pin them to this board so I can come back and find them. And it's quite a cute little board now. But the trick with Pinterest, it's not trying to just spam people by following 200 people, but what I'll do is I'll look around and find a person that pins stuff that's of interest to me. See if I can find them. So this person uploaded a really interesting horse picture, and when I look at her boards, they all look really kind of interesting, so I'd maybe follow her, but I would also go into her followers, and because I'm making animals and I'm interested in animals and things, I would maybe follow people that look like they're into the same things as me. And this means when I come to my homepage, to start with, this is a bit slow. When I come to my homepage, it looks interesting. It's stuff that I'm interested in, which is so important. But also it means that these people might follow me back, and so they would get to see what I'm making as well. What about watermarking photos? Yes, that can be really important if you're putting up your artwork. Like I've got my felt tip sketches, then I'll always watermark them, because people could just take them. You could just download the pictures and use them. I don't tend to watermark my needle felted images. If people took the pictures of my needle felting stuff and tried to pass it off as their own work, then they're just hurting themselves, because their customer's gonna get annoyed when they can't create something in my style. And also, if someone does a reverse Google search of the image, I'm going to come up. So I'm not that bothered. If someone steals those pictures, then more fool them. It's the same, I don't watermark any pictures of my pets, because, well, they're quite individual. But absolutely watermark your pictures if you want. The thing is, if someone's really good at Photoshop, they can kind of hide the watermarks. But yeah, it's always a risk when you put things on the internet. So the other thing you can do, if it's your photography or your paintings or things like that, is upload them in fairly not too great resolution. Like putting them on Facebook, that compresses the files. The pictures will never look that great. So don't upload them in the highest quality format, so that if people did try and nick them, then you've got the best things. But yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with watermarking your pictures. And yeah, Instagram is, people always are going to try and steal things. Let's face it, but they can't create what you can create. So It's not going to get them anywhere. So I try not stress about it too much. Whack a watermark on if you want. Don't put up your best quality stuff. But you really, what you're going to gain by the exposure of getting seen by everyone is so much less than any problems on people nicking them. Right, couple of other things I wanted to share before I forget. Those of you who get your Etsy newsletters, the Seller's Handbook came up a couple of days ago that just had something that I just totally wanted to share with you all. Especially, like I say, on the forums just now, it seems to be all doom and gloom, people saying how rubbish Etsy's doing just now. And I've hopefully shown that that's not the case. It can be okay. And okay, I really do feel for people when their sales tank. It happens to us all. But it doesn't happen because Etsy's failing or Etsy's messing about with us. It happens because that's retail and things change. Me on Pinterest. I'm Ben McFuzzyLugs on Pinterest. I think I can put up a link onto the chat. There we go. That's me. Yeah, if you wanna follow along. I've not put anything up on Pinterest for a while. I'll have to get back into that. I do it in fits and starts, but hopefully some of my other boards would be interesting. There's pictures of the dogs and pictures of things that I find interesting as well, rather than just me trying to promote myself. Right. Yeah, so it sounds like there's all doom and gloom about Etsy, but I really enjoyed this newsletter from Etsy that came out. It must have been the past week. I can't remember when exactly it was, but I just wanted to share this with us. So they're saying ended 2017 on a high note. For the first time ever, in the fourth quarter, the seller community sold 1 billion in goods. So for the last quarter of 2017, Etsy sellers sold £1 billion worth of goods, and that's the first time ever. Sharon's followed me. Thank you, Sharon. And that's a 33 increase compared to the previous 3 months on Etsy. Well, you expect an increase between the middle months of the year and the last months, but a 33% increase is pretty good. But they're saying it was a 17.8% growth from 2016, so it's nearly 20% growth year on year for the Christmas period, which is awesome. And $1 billion, did I say pounds? $1 billion. So Etsy is definitely not failing. It's growing and it's doing so well. And yeah, absolutely, everybody, Samantha Jane, and everybody, feel free to share your Pinterest and everything else. It is great to support each other. I love seeing everyone's work, and it's cool to follow each other. Sharon, I think you're able to put links up in the chat. I'm not sure, but I think YouTube blocks other people who are not moderators. But hi Magdalena, you're not a seller but love to hear my views and advice. Thank you so much for joining me. It's good to see you on here. Yeah, I see you quite a bit around the internet, which is awesome. I've seen you supporting Cassandra as well. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, myself and Cassandra on Wednesday and Thursday just finished up our little collaboration where I gave her a little tutorial to make for her very first project in needle felting. She made a sculpture of her little dog Tycho, who is absolutely adorable. I can't remember if he's like a miniature pincer or an American rat terrier. Not too up on American breeds of dogs, but he's little and he's adorable with massive ears. So if you haven't checked that out, when you've done here, check back on my Thursday video. There's a playlist that has my tutorial and then all Cassandra's steps, because it's great to watch from basically her very first video where she opens her first pack of needle felting stuff and how she's progressed along the way. Alright, and Samantha does have an Etsy account but nothing up at the moment. That's cool. It's is it something you're looking to start up again in the future? Because, you know, right place to be, and I'm totally happy to give any help and advice if I can, with anyone's shops, because right, this is a good segue into the next bit. So this was actually something I seen on Tim Schmoyer, I believe it was. He's a YouTube creator. And this is the fantastic thing. I've said this before, I'm going to say this a million times. Being in different places that talk about SEO and growing and developing, you learn things that work on so many different mediums. Quite a lot of what I learned in the first place starting me out on Etsy, I learned that from when I was a driving instructor. And again, quite a lot of what I learned about teaching and delivering messages and things that I use as a dog trainer, and now I use as a video person. So you're always, everything you learn can always be related to so many things. And this thing from that Tim Schmoyer showed us from Business Insider, I saw this and I was just like blown away, and I thought everyone else would really enjoy to see it. So it's talking about the most lucrative platforms for creators. And by creators, that's people that are making money by creating things. And there's a graph coming up that I'm just going to show you. Obviously the title's kind of giving it away a wee bit. But a graph just showing us which platforms are the most lucrative if you're making things, and it totally surprised me because YouTube is the #1 platform. It's bringing in the most money for creative people. This isn't making art and selling it. This is monetizing your videos. So this means I create a video, and if you saw an advert before you saw the video, then I get a very tiny amount of money for that. It is very tiny, but through everyone on here, YouTube gets the most money for creative people. But I was blown away that actually Etsy is the second biggest platform for creative people. And so this is the first biggest platform for people creating physical goods. And it's just showing us now the numbers that we've got here is this is the amount of trying to get yeah, so this is in the US, but it will work for the rest of the world. So there was 1.4 billion on Etsy in 2016, and we've already seen the last quarter of 2017 hit 1 billion. So this number is going to be even higher for 2017 when all these numbers come out. But there was 1.4 billion, and that was spread between 900,000 people. So it's actually a whole lot better than people are expecting it to be. Again, Instagram, I think people can sell things on Instagram, but also making money from advertising. You get Insta models and things, people who get product placement on their Instagram posts. But that is a third of the amount of Etsy. And then looking down, eBay surprised me, it's so low at the bottom. Now, eBay itself is much, much bigger, but this is talking about the actual number of, it's not resellers and everything, this is the people selling things that they physically made. So Etsy is so much bigger than all of these. So that's totally awesome. But yeah, so that's for creative people, this is where the most of the money is, which is totally cool. Right, just checking the chat again. I'm a bit behind. cool. I'll try and find everyone on Pinterest and everything. And also head over to the Facebook group and post up your social media links, and we can all follow each other there as well. Samantha, yeah, absolutely post pictures to the group. That's what it's there for. Don't feel bad about sharing. There's not enough of us that we're spamming. We're spamming each other. Actually, everyone's been totally well behaved, and I'm loving seeing everyone's work, and nobody's going overboard, because I don't want to have to make rules, so everyone's behaving. Sharon, yeah, everyone pop over when you're done here and check out Sharon's channel as well. I found her with her penguin nail art tutorial. I still haven't had time to actually, I want to do some nail art myself. I've still got the one feature nail, but that's as far as I've got. I used to do nail art myself all the time, so that was so cool. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people Neve, I'm sure a lot of people aren't monetized on YouTube. I only hit the qualifications for what I would have been monetized on YouTube probably the last quarter of last year. But what you'll find more than anything, YouTube growth is very exponential. So all the work you're doing here in this bottom bit, and it feels like getting all these views and everything is totally impossible, but it builds up and it builds up, and then suddenly you'll hit the 1000 and the, is it 4000 hours watch time, you'll hit that, and then suddenly, you know, whoosh, you're away. So, you know, don't be afraid to keep on keeping on. When I decided to do my YouTube channel properly, that was the beginning of last year, decided to put up regular videos and really work on the SEO and everything. I was getting maybe 1 subscriber a month, but I just kept working at it. Follow the people. If you haven't, Brian G. Johnson's group, the Tube Ritual group on Facebook, is fantastic. His support is amazing. Nick Nemman's really good as well. But follow these people, and they help so much with your growing. I mean, literally, I had this YouTube channel for, I think it was 7 years, and I had 250 subscribers. And then watching these guys, in just over a year of work, I've got over 2,000 subscribers. You know, that's the difference it makes. And yeah, I've been focusing a lot on YouTube as well. It's not the only thing. I'm trying to not have all my eggs in one basket, because so many people are like, oh, you know, the Etsy crashes and everything. So I want to have spread over several platforms, while at the same time not pushing myself too thin. So this means that some of the things I'm creating for my customers, I'm also filming them for my YouTube channel. So I'm getting sort of 2 slight streams of revenue out of the one piece of work, if that makes sense. And also, as we've seen, I'm now getting some views in my shop from YouTube. So it all helps each other, hopefully, a little bit. So yeah, it definitely helps to do more than one thing. Never go to eBay. Yeah, I very rarely try and sell on eBay, because how I feel is, if I'm looking for something cheap, you know, if I'm looking for pipe cleaners or beads for something, or, you know, if I'm looking for something mass produced and cheap, I'll go to eBay or Amazon. If I'm looking for quality handmade things, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to Etsy. So that's where I want to sell as well. Yeah, Samantha, the group has actually been so supportive and so helpful that yeah, they've been great at giving each other help and advice, and I try I try and nip in there as often as I can as well, hopefully, but there's so many other people that are doing so well. So it's cool. They're so helpful, and everyone can give different pieces of advice and stuff. So yeah, please please feel free to post in the group. It's friendly, and it will totally help you. Neve just passed 10k views, so it was frustrating when they changed the parameters. Of course, yes. I totally understand that shift in the goalposts. You think, for those of you who don't know, I think most of you are YouTube people here, but for those of you that don't know, many years ago, many years ago, you could only get monetized if you were invited by YouTube. Only the special people got that. And then they rolled it out to everybody. So all us plebs were allowed to put adverts on our channels. And then last year, some things weren't looking so good. There was some content that advertisers weren't liking, so they changed the goalposts, and they had said you had to have 10,000 views on your channel to be able to get monetized. And that was fine. It was a challenge, but people felt they could make it. But then there's been more and more controversy, so they changed things up again, and it meant you had to get the 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 watch time minutes. And the reason for doing that, and I know it's tough, but it's really worth it, because before you get to that goal, you're not really making that much off of adverts anyway. But they changed it because 10,000 views can be gamed. 1,000 subscribers can be gamed. You can do sub for sub. You can have people can look at your, people can set up bots that look at your channel for a second, kind of thing. But 4,000 hours of watch time minutes is tough. It is tough to game, and also 1,000 subscribers both at the same time mean that you've worked hard to really grow your channel properly, with good practices. So you are totally gonna get that, but yeah, it's more of a challenge. But you're already in Nick Nimmin and Brian G. Johnson's group. So have you seen it was Gord Eisman? I did a video with him, but he himself and Creative Fundamentals Dan, there's a couple of people that were sort of close to that goal when it changed in January, and they saw it as a total challenge, and they pushed their channels out there, and they actually were able to grow, and both of them have reached the monetization. I don't even know if that's a real word. Both of them hit the monetization goals just in time for it was February the 20th. So it is possible, and it's best to see it as a kind of challenge. Say to yourself, I want to try and work on building this up, and you're totally going to get there. And guys, that's a good reason. If you have friends that are YouTube creators, if you're small channels like us, it's a great idea to watch the small channels and support the little channels that you enjoy, because these goalposts are a lot harder now. So just giving us some extra minutes. Now, thankfully I was already above the level, but I will tell you guys that live streaming is the single best way to do two things. It's the single best way to build up some watch time minutes fairly quickly, because people will watch longer on a live stream than they will on a video. If you clicked on a video that was going to be about an hour long, unless you were really into it, you would be a bit but you'll sit and chat in a live stream. That's a totally different thing, but it's also such a great way of building a community. I can talk to you guys, which is pretty awesome. It's not as pretty to look at. I don't get up the good camera or the big lights or anything. I'm not rehearsed. I mess things up. The dogs bark. I think one of them wants to visit again. But yeah, it's not as pretty, but it's better for community. Come on up, Mia. Come on. And here's Mia again. So if you're wanting to grow your channel, I know it's scary, but live streams are a really good way to do it. And if you want any help setting up live streams, give me a yell in the group and I'll kind of show you what I know of it anyway. How do you put your own pictures on Pinterest? I will show you. So this is my Pinterest page, and I have to try and remember now. You can see I'm not on this very much. and they change it every time I'm here. But well, one of the ways you can set up apps that, sorry, the dog's sitting on me. You can set up Pinterest so that it's on your desktop, and then you just have to, when you're on a page you like when you're on an Etsy page and you see a listing that you like, you just click on this. But I can't pin the home page here. So if I go to, get back to my shop, so when I come to this, if I hit to pin it, and then it lets me choose what I want to save. So I'm going to pin this little dog, and here's a list of all my boards, so I can choose where it would go to, which would be Fuzzy Lug Felt. So I save it up onto my board. So that's it pinned onto Pinterest that way. You can do it directly. If I'm in the group, it should, here you go. If you're in the board that you want to add them from, you just hit the plus button, drag or upload a picture there, link the URL, and talk about it. Always add the link, add where this has come from, because if you don't, then people can't find it. They want to be able to have a look. I sell, Carol sells so much in her eBay shop. Yeah, as soon as you put it on eBay, it sells quicker, but the shop fees are too high. I think eBay, yeah, if it's gonna sell, it can sell much quicker. I definitely have found that it's more immediate. I certainly haven't found that I get the same prices. I put things up there if I just want rid of them kind of quickly, and I haven't paid attention enough to see what the fees are, but I know people say that. Yeah, eBay's easier in that you just put stuff up. Good pictures, a good description, and you're good to go. Etsy, there's so much more to learn. You've got all your SEO to learn. It is tougher, but I like that because, you know, half of the people that list on Etsy don't know that, so they kind of, we're only competing against half the people because the other half aren't even doing it right. They're up there for several months, but also all the stuff you're learning. This means if in a few years' time I decide to revisit having a website, I've got a better idea how to do it because I've had to learn stuff, if that makes sense. You know, eBay makes it too easy, but it chooses the audience it's putting you in front of. And yeah, people don't seem to want handmade stuff there, so great. Lindsay loves the group. Thank you. Yes, it is a great group. Yeah, sorry, 4,000 hours of watch time, not minutes. Yeah. 4,000 minutes of watch time wouldn't be that difficult. Yeah, 4,000 hours of watch time in a 12-month period is what they're looking for, and that is quite a lot. And even 1,000 subscribers is quite a challenge. I mean, if you think about it, like if you were giving a talk somewhere and 1,000 people came, I would not like that. Yeah, it's bad enough to think that there's 2 or 3 of you watching me just now, but thinking of speaking to a room of 1,000 people, that would be terrifying. Pinterest on your phone, that's a good question. I'll check that once I come offline here. There must be an app for it on the phone, I think. So I'll look into that, and if I can get that to work, then I'll let you know. It should be the other thing to do. Check for a YouTube tutorial how to use Pinterest on your phone. We forget we're on YouTube. You should be able to find anything here. It should be workable on the phone, I would think. It's really weird that like some of us use use the phone for everything. Some of us are on the PC for everything. I'm totally, everything is on my PC. I have my phone, it has all the apps, but I prefer the big screen here. And I suppose as well, I have my computer set up in my sitting room because this is where I felt from. So I have the big screen. I can put up a big screen picture of my dog that I'm working on, and I can felt it from here. Yep. Where are we? Neve, channel has grown a lot, but it's going to be a long time before you get to 1,000 views and 4,000 hours. You could well surprise yourself. I thought it was going to take me forever, but if you follow the practices, follow what Brian G is telling you to do, seriously, and it will, you will get there. I know it seems huge. I mean, I remember this time last year I was looking up to some channels that had over 1,000 subscribers, and I thought these channels were massive. I thought they were big YouTubers, and now I've overtaken some of them and I still feel tiny. So you're never going to be happy with what you get, but you can more than do 1,000 subs. And as Sharon says, we can all support each other as well. If I'll try and remember and put posts up for us all to put our links, or if someone else wants to do that as well, just have posts for each social media thing and YouTube channels as well. You know, if you want to have a look at everyone's YouTube channel and see if we can help each other that way as well, that would be cool. You're gonna start, Neve's gonna start live streaming in August once the youngest child's at school. I completely understand that. My first few live streams, I would take the dogs for a long walk and then leave them in the car. They're quite happy. They have a lovely big crate in the car when they had treats and everything. I would leave them in the car because I was that worried that they were going to bark their heads off or jump and sit up and join me when I was live streaming. But now it's real, and if Mia jumps up and says hello, as Sharon is in the post just just down below, hi Mia, you know, I think you guys prefer seeing the dogs than you do prefer seeing me, to be honest. But if you let me know when you guys are going live streaming, let me know. I love actually watching people's live stream. It's nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie. It's totally different than filming a real video, but it's also really kind of cool as well. You get a different energy, you get a bit of excitement, and it's cool. It's like a challenge. Like when you know, you guys ask me questions and I have to think on the spot, you know, what is this? How do you do this? And I don't know everything, and it's cool that you guys can all answer as well, because I'm not an expert on everything. I'm bumbling along like the rest of us. But it really tests you to have to look at and figure out, and trying to keep up with the chat's a challenge as well. You've just joined my Facebook group, fantastic. Feel free to post everything there and have a look around. And Samantha's just posted some pictures as well. Fantastic. I look forward to seeing these when I get off here. Oh, there is an app for the phone, Sharon. That's cool. I will have a look at that. And Samantha uses the iPad mostly. Yeah, didn't mention the iPad, but yeah, we'll have different things we use. I'm surprised YouTube, people say that the majority of users now, well, viewers on YouTube use the mobile phone, but my stats, actually the majority of people who come to me use the PC, and I use the PC as well most of the time. So it's interesting that the demographic is quite so different. But I think that's right. It's many of us, when we're artistic people, are working on our PC, or rather with our computer with us, or an iPad or something like that. But we tend to have that with us because we're needing to check up on things and email customers. It's a bit of a pig to try. I see the Sell on Etsy app. I absolutely cannot stand when I'm trying to use my phone. I've got nipping in and out of the Etsy app and the sell on Etsy app, and I can't find where everything is. I much prefer doing that on my computer. Carol, after your holidays, you'll build your Etsy shop up. You find Etsy rules much simpler, and you're on Pinterest on your phone. That's cool. And all of you, don't forget, like, bung up links to your shop and things, and let us help you out with them too. Samantha loves the dogs. Yes, I realised this might look really weird. Mia's down here and I was petting her, but I just realised how much Mia's cut off and that might look weird. I'm petting the dogs. Oh, neat. You don't know how interesting the live streams would be since you're just painting. Actually, no, I love. There's someone I follow, Liz for a Day. That's it, and she started doing live streams of just her colouring in, and literally just chatting away as she's colouring in, and it gets what I would advise to start with, because I mean I know the first few live streams I did, no one watched, no one was there live at the time. But if you have something to talk about, so you can be painting away and have in your head your idea of what you want to talk about. So you have a subject and you can just paint and talk, and then people will start coming, and eventually you'll be painting and chatting to your friends. And I find that really lovely. You could be tutorialing, explaining what you're doing, but just painting and chatting about what you're doing, and people can watch the painting progress, would actually be awesome and really restful, and I would totally love to watch that. Yeah, the most dangerous thing is long periods of silence. So like I say, have prepared things to talk about well before you get started, and over time people will start getting to know you and they'll start asking you questions and you can deal with the chat. Yeah, it takes a bit of practice. Sharon uses her phone for watching. I think, well, I suppose if I had headphones, I've lost my headphones, but I would use my phone, but the audio is so tinny and terrible. But my phone contract's up in a couple of months, so hopefully I'll get a better phone then. So yeah, but I can't watch YouTube videos on my phone. It sounds terrible. Sharon's got her alarm set on her phone to remind me that I'm on. Oh, thank you so much. That's cool. Samantha, yeah, watch painting videos before, and they're interesting. It totally is. Painters are just. I wish I could paint better, but it's awesome to watch it. And who is the American guy, Bob Ross? Um, he was fantastic. So you can talk about your paintings, or Tony Hart that we had in the UK as well. But talk about what you're doing. I'm afraid that I could actually be a bit too good at that. That's probably why I have the sound off when I'm felting, because I'm talking to my felties like, "Oh, get your wee leg here and get this out of the road." And I think people might think I was more bonkers than they already think I am. Yeah, Samantha, with felting videos, yeah, you can't talk all the time. I'm still trying to find a style of what to do with the felting videos. I totally understand why Serafina has her little dog puppet. I know people don't like that, but I completely understand. There's something to interact with. They can do daft jokes with the little dog, they can have conversation going, because her videos are all pretty much in real time, and that would be a lot of silence, so that gives a bit of interaction. I just do quite a lot of time lapse just now. I'm mucking about with adding music to them, but as you guys all know, it's difficult making sure that you've got royalty free music. Everyone loved Bob Ross. I think he's so interesting, but at this, but kooky as well. It's great fun, but talks away, and then you're like, how did that just appear out of there? I love those kind of painters. Samantha talks away to her felts. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I used to, when I was at school, I would in art class I would sneak away into the pottery room as often as I could, because I could sit on my own in the pottery class and talk to the pottery rather than having to try and keep quiet when I was in the drawing class. Um, so yeah, I've always talked to my stuff. I'm a bit bonkers. Um, Le Leonie? Sorry, I'm terrible at names. I need someone to teach me. But Leonie Clark, thank you. It loves the YouTube videos. You can't find me on Facebook. I should have the link. Oops, did that move? I should have the link. Where have I lost? I've lost the chat now. Oh, there we go. The link should be in the chat, but I'll see if I can pull it up here. Oh, if I spell things right. Here's the link. And I won't sit on that too long because there could be people. In fact, yeah, I'll put my big ugly muck back on again. But the link's there if you just want to jump on that, and I can accept you when I come off here. Where am I from? I'm in Scotland. I'm just outside Glasgow, and currently we're suffering the beast from the east, which means I've been snowed in for the best part of last week. Just dug the car out yesterday, so that's why the dogs are a bit bonkers. If you can hear them, Mia's but taking herself off and she's chewing a chew very noisily. I think she's in the huff that she's not getting enough attention. But yeah, we've had some terrific weather here just outside Glasgow, and my friend just down the road, they have been really badly above waist deep snow for the past week. So just getting back to normal now. Neve, whereabouts in America are you? And Samantha loves Serafina. I do as well. I've loved watching her for years. What she kind of annoyed me to start with, not just the puppet, but I've got used to him and he's kind of cute now. What annoyed me to start with was, we all learnt trial and error all by ourselves, and then she seems to make it look like magic. And a lot of people watch and they think it's as fast as that, but she's really skillful, and also she felt quite softly. I try and felt along with her sometimes, and I have to pause and go back and really firm up things. But I really like her process. I think she's come from different types of sculpture. I see a lot of like clay artists work the same way as her, like making the shapes off the piece and then putting them on. But I've learnt a lot from her, but also I take a lot of my own stuff too. But yeah, she's awesome. You love my music. Thank you, Samantha. It's really just on the YouTube Creator Studio. Just getting the music from there, and there's so much you can get that's not royalty free. So I just dive in and use the classics because I hope it's not offending too many people that way. Like I like a lot of maybe more rock type music, but that might put some people off. Some people would love it, might put some people off. But hopefully people aren't too offended by the classics, although probably Wagner and stuff's a bit much for most people, but I love it. Where have we got? At Carol, the snow's melting and it's raining in Birmingham, and you have a rainbow. Fantastic. Do you know, it's funny, I used to live down near Birmingham, and the snow we used to get in that area, that's Ben scratching next to me, the snow we used to get was actually way worse. I think because you're so far away from the sea that there's not the protection and it can get so much worse. So yeah, I feel for you. I know it can be pretty bad in Birmingham, but rainbow's cool. I think my friends the other day had thunder snow, which is awesome and scary at the same time. Lindsay loves Milo. Milo, that's the name of the wee dog. Why couldn't I remember? Yeah, it's funny. It's one of these things that he really, really annoyed me to start with, and now I quite enjoy it. And it's a cool. That's her gimmick. That's her thing, which is quite awesome. The New England Neves in the New England area, state of New Hampshire. There's a huge Scottish festival here. Lots of Scottish ancestors in my tree. Well, I would say with your name there, there's definitely a bit of Scottish ancestry. That does seem a very Celtic type of name. It amuses me. I love to see the Scottish festivals in America and things. They seem far more Scottish than us in Scotland ever are. Serafina's also an artist and does painting. That makes sense. I think that the people that come from this kind of background do they have such a better idea of all this. Unfortunately, I'm not from an artistic background. I actually have a degree in engineering, and I fell into this by accident. So I am really bumbling about and learning as I go. But that's where, you know, I don't have that background in marketing art, and I've had to learn all about pricing and doing all this kind of thing. And you know, I'm learning as I go. I don't have the artistic training. I know I said at school I did my GCSEs. I did one of them was art, but me and the art teacher were always in a fight anyway because she told me she wouldn't let me do any kind of cartoons in any of my work because she said cartoons weren't real art and you could never make money with cartoons. I'd love to go back and speak to her about that. Um, Carol, let's have some Highway to Hell. I would love that. But firstly, I think Meatloaf would want the money out of my video if I did that. And yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to do that, but that would be so awesome. But I might throw in a bit more guitarists when I can find them. Sharon's son's college roommate is from New Hampshire and you're in Pennsylvania. And Samantha's near Atlanta, Georgia. These are, I'm going to have to check a map actually. These are only names I know of or where I've sent my sculptures to. I've never been to America yet. Oh, hi, it's Pander's Puppets. Hi there again. You're in Colorado and it's 60 degrees and sunny. Oh, I wish for sunny. Today is vile as anything. The snow started to melt, but then it started to freeze again, and it's the really annoying stuff that basically it's down to about a foot deep, and it's crispy enough that it supports the dog's weight. But when I was trying to walk on it, it would like hold your weight for a second and then you would sink, and it's like twice as hard to try and walk in. I shouldn't complain. I know people get it far, far worse, but I will complain. Yes, Neve is Irish. We have lots of Irish ancestry. Oh, you've been learning Irish for a few years. That's awesome. It's something I would love to learn a little bit more Gaelic, but I'm terrible at languages. There's bits I've picked up over the years. I think Scottish Gaelic and Irish Gaelic have similarities. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if you'd be able to understand both. You know, if you could speak one, if you would understand the other. But yeah, I think it's really cool. And good for you learning Irish. Samantha can barely draw a stick figure. Yeah, I know that feeling. I I would love to be able to paint, and sometimes I kind of feel I can manage things. I was amazed how not easy, but how well the 2D needle felting paintings work. Obviously, borrowing someone else's picture in the first place, or hopefully I could take landscape pictures or things, but I don't think I'll be able to do it like freehand from scratch. And Samantha's a retired policewoman. Awesome. And Sharon was doing Irish fiddle lessons. That's cool. That's great fun. I always wanted the drum, the baran, the drum. I think they sound great. And Seamus plays the tin whistle. I learned the tin whistle when I was at school. Oh, Sharon took Panda Puppet's snow away. That's nice of you. But yeah, hopefully for us in the northern hemisphere, that's the end of winter now, and after this lot, we can go and have a nice spring. But guys, great example of how to get completely off topic. But thank you guys all so much for the questions in the chat. This makes my Sunday so much better. We've got the links to Pam's Felting Friends, so I look forward to seeing you all in there, and drop links to all your social media, and especially all of you that are struggling on YouTube as well. I'd love to be able to help you all grow there and join Brian G as well. But yeah, good to chat to you all. If no one has any more questions, I think I'll wrap this up pretty soon. Mainly I'm starving and I want to get my dinner. That's 5:20, so that's been a pretty good chat. It's really cool to get to know you all, and you all to get to know everybody. Yeah, got way off topic. I think that's the point of a live stream, and if we've got so many Celtic type people in here, it's gonna happen. We get off topic. That's what we do. So, but I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. So nice to talk to you all, guys. Should be same time next week as well. I've got a couple of exciting videos coming this week as well. Monday should be a great one if I get it sorted in time. I've got some really great Etsy advice. I'll be digging more into that maker's box on Wednesday, and I thought I had the wee dog as a sculpture with here, but I've got a full adding fur on a Havanese dog on Thursday. So thank you all for joining me again, and I will see you later.